The Bears were 0-40 when giving up 42 or more points in a game. Matter of fact, they had lost 50 games in a row when giving up 30 or more points dating back to the 2013 season. Let's bring in a guy who has seen a ton of Bears football over the last, what do you think, Dan? 45, 50 years? My longtime buddy, NFL Hall of Fame writer Dan Pompei from The Athletic joining us. How long has it been, Dan, since you've been covering the Bears?
Don't give away my age, Lou. These are secrets. These are trade secrets. But yeah, started in 1985, actually. So you can do the math on that one.
All right. Well, you and I were together before 85 when we were both covering the Loyola Ramblers with Gene Sullivan and Alfrederick Hughes. But let's get into the Bears. Danny boy, the Bears pulled off feats in yesterday's game that they have never accomplished. I ran down some of the numbers just a second ago. What's the takeaway? What did you learn about Ben Johnson's Bears yesterday?
Well, it's a little bit of a difficult game to really interpret because so many things happened that were drastic, right? And I think we have to kind of first understand that that might be the only opponent in the NFL that the Bears could have done that to yesterday because the Bengals defense is so bad. But credit to the Bears for doing what they needed to do when they needed to and overcoming their own defensive mistakes and liabilities and their special teams problems and finding a way to win the game. I think two of the big takeaways are that you've got a couple rookies there in Loveland and Monangai who look like they're going to be keepers and really guys who can help this team. And I think the other thing, we knew this already, but it continues to be confirmed, is that Ben Johnson is really special as a play caller. He understands what he has. He understands what his opponents have defensively. He understands how to exploit what's given to him in each and every game. I really think he is probably worth 7 points by himself as a play caller. A really good play caller can do that, and the Bears haven't had that in forever.
Interesting you said that because Johnson's offense in Detroit, Dan, had showings like yesterday repeatedly. So it raises the question, is this the beginning of a new age of Bears football, or was it the result of the NFL's worst defense in Cincinnati going against the Bears?
Yes and yes.
Yeah.
I think there's a little of truth to both. In Detroit, Johnson had some really great skilled players, right, who were top of the game. With the Bears, he's got some guys who can develop into that, guys who have great ability but really haven't proven they can do the kinds of things that some of his Lions players proved repeatedly they could do. The fact that he's giving them a chance with great play calls, they put together an offensive line that are giving these skilled players a chance now too. I think we saw that again. That's another, kind of a slow realization is that this offensive line is pretty good, and they can get movement. Again, it's against the Cincinnati defense that was lacking, but still, all you can do is play the team that's in front of you, and you have to be happy with what they did and the opportunities that they gave, everyone in the running game, the passing game, all over the field. And of course, Caleb Williams, who we haven't even mentioned yet.
Let's talk about Monangai for a second, if we can. He ran for 176 yards in the game, Dan, most for a Bears running back since A-Train Anthony Thomas did it back in 2001. He ran for even a few more. You covered Walter Payton. You covered Neil Anderson, Anthony Thomas, Matt Forte. And I know it was only his first NFL start, but with the Pompei eye test, how good might this kid be?
Well, you love the fact that he runs with good balance, that he can break a tackle, that he's got vision. So many times I think when people evaluate running backs, they look for the flashy skills, the ability to cut, burst, speed, all that's great. But the fundamentals, the foundation, I think, of almost all great running backs are things that you did see in Walter Payton, that you see in players like Emmitt Smith. It's the ability to really take the ball in the hole, read where you need to go and get there, understand where there's going to be space, where there's not going to be space, and then be able to run through a tackle. It's not always about a 50-yard gain or trying to make a home run, hit a home run, as it is get that first down, keep the chains moving. And that's what this kid can do.
Where are you with Caleb Williams?
Well, I think, he had a pretty good game yesterday. We obviously have to give him credit for doing what he had to do to win the game. Again, a little help from the Bengals, especially on that last play. I think they blew a tackle, obviously, on Loveland, but he's developing. He has improved from last year without a doubt. I think he's got a long way to go. I think what we want to see more of is him finding the right receiver, getting the ball to him accurately. I mean, it's as simple as that. And those are the things that he hasn't always done consistently.
And you believe that the Bears and the fans still need to be patient with him?
Well, you have no choice at this point. You have to be patient with him. He's, worst case scenario, he's going to be the starter this year and for next year. And, if he proves he is not able to be the Bears starter through next year, then they're going to have to make a decision. What do we do? How do we get another quarterback? Do we move on from this guy, as they did with Justin Fields, as they did with Mitch Trubisky and many others?
All right. How are they going to fix this defense, Danny? I mean, 2 top cornerbacks are out, no pass rush. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's going to really show up as they get into the meat of their schedule and they start playing some of these teams. Obviously, the Bengals can exploit you that way too, even though they're on their 3rd choice at quarterback for the year, and they've had some issues too. But it's going. I think they're going to, moving forward, they're going to have to continue to try to play ball control offense, which is going to help that defense. Obviously, they've been very good at takeaways. They are a dependent team on takeaways. Without takeaways, they really struggle. The only thing they can do is try to ratchet up some pressure and hope that they can win on the front end of the field for the defense. So you put less pressure on the back end. But sometimes when you do that, obviously, you leave those guys exposed because they're one-on-one. So it's a tough call for Dennis Allen. They have to hope they can hang on until some of these cornerbacks come back.
Dan, I know you talk to other writers around the NFL. You're very close to a number of general managers. NFL trade deadline is Tuesday, 3 o'clock. Ryan Poles has proven to be a wheeler dealer. His 4th trade deadline with the Bears. He's pulled off some major moves before. Montez Sweat, Chase Claypool at this point at the deadline. Is he making calls? Do you think the Bears pull off a trade for a defensive player?
Well, I'm sure he's making calls, Lou. He would be negligent if he were not at least investigating what's out there. My guess is that he would kind of move cautiously and not be really willing to give up too much in a trade in terms of draft capital. Because, this was supposed to be a year where the Bears are kind of reloading and getting accustomed to the Ben Johnson experience, right? So I don't think anyone expected them to be in the mix for a Super Bowl this season, and I don't think there will be. So it probably doesn't make sense to try to mortgage the future for something that, could help you maybe only temporarily. But you never know. There might be something out there. There might be a building. When they traded for Sweat, they saw him as a guy who could help them not only in the short run, but in the long run. They signed him to a long-term contract. There might be that kind of situation out there again. And if there were, that would be optimal. But those are kind of rare and difficult to find.
All right, Danny, let me get one final question in with you last minute here. You were a huge reason why Steve Mongo McMichael got into the Pro Football Hall of Fame 2026 class. And we're talking about now, and sure enough, you've got Peanut Tillman and Olin Kreutz making the final 52 for that 2022 Hall of Fame class. What are their chances of getting into Canton?
Yeah, it'd be great to see both guys in there. And I think, you want to see them take the next step and at least make it to the semifinalist group. And it's a process. It's a long process for these guys. I mean, you see how long it took McMichael, and I appreciate what you said about me helping to get him in. But really, I always say Steve McMichael got Steve McMichael in the Hall of Fame. It was his career, his credentials that really earned him that spot in Canton. And I think, hopefully one day it'll be the same with Peanut Tillman and Olin Kreutz, because if you look at their bodies of work, both very impressive.
Danny, as always, thanks for the time, buddy. I'm going to get you on again in a couple of weeks, talk more about the Hall of Fame and the Bears. Please say hello to your wife, Colette. Great to have you on.
All right. Thank you, Lou. My pleasure.